use mental arithmetic, there is no way you will miss out on easier questions. Imagine being able to solve this question, which is quite long in length, in less than 60 seconds. In this video, I'll talk about the testing, analysis, and the revision frameworks in the Master CFA app that will help you become a CFA Level 1 exam crushing machine. If you missed out on the learning framework, you can check out the video link above or in description. In that, we talked about how you should learn, what you should learn, and what is a study order that helps you not only master CFA exam but also build competent skill set towards the job or the role that you desire. Here's the hard truth about the CFA exam prep. Learning without testing creates dangerous false confidence. I've seen countless students watching videos at 2x speeds, rewatching or rereading books, thinking familiarity equals competency. It does not. Testing without analysis wastes opportunity for growth, and analysis without revision wastes the insights that you have gathered. Revision without active recall simply doesn't stick. So you need to continuously learn, test, analyze, and revise whatever you are studying on a daily basis. The CFA exam is a marathon, not a sprint. If you look at the time allotted for the exam, you will be facing two 135-minute sessions each, which is 2 hours and 15 minutes, and you will be given 90 questions in each of these sessions. That means you have 1.5 minutes or 90 seconds per question on the exam. And if you count the break time, check-in time, introduction and software orientation time, all in all, you are in the test center for 5 to 6 hours. Now, this takes more than just knowledge, it takes mental stamina. You must stay sharp for hours, solving each problem in 90 seconds. You need to work like a machine and you need to have mental stamina to do that. Think about your focus right now. Most of us get bored after 1 minute of video watching if it doesn't excite us enough. Now, compare that to solving hard math problems for hours. That's a big gap, right? The good news, mental endurance can be built through practice. Just like runners train for marathons or ultra marathon events, you can train your brain to focus longer. At Master CFA, we will help you this mental muscle step by step. Our system starts where you are and pushes you further each day. It's not only about passing this exam, it's about developing the mental toughness that separates average analysts from exceptional ones. On your day job or the role that you desire, you will be working long hours and on under stressful deadlines. The same focus that helps you maintain clarity through 6 hours of testing can serve you throughout your financial career as well. Before I show you how to actually solve questions and build that mental muscle, first let us see the question format and structure that is asked on the level 1 exam. The CF Institute states that each multiple choice question will consist of a question, statement, or a table, and it will have three options: sentence completion and questions with three unique choices. I'll explain what that means in the slide below. Also, it states that it does not use any trickery in the questions. For example, in competitive exams, usually you have options which are tricky, which could be something like not one and two, does not do that, or at least. So, CFA Institute does not use terminologies like this. It will have these simple qualifiers like most appropriate, most accurate, least accurate, and each question stem supports only one item on the exam. That means it will correspond to one topic in the exam. You will not have a question which talks about derivatives and time value of money or fixed income together. So it's not a tricky paper at all. Another point is that there are no penalty for incorrect answers and all questions are equally weighted. As I mentioned, there are no tricky options such as all of the above, A and B or B only, etc. So it is all in all a simple test of whether you understand the concept enough to be able to solve it in the requisite time given. The testing reality is that you only have 90 seconds per question. In these 90 seconds, you have to read the question, understand or recall the concept it corresponds to, calculate the answer by noting it on your scratch pad or putting the values in calculator, mark it on the screen, and then move on. And you need to do this preferably in less than 90 seconds because any time that you go over 90 seconds, you are taking those precious seconds away from other questions. And you won't even realize under exam conditions when the adrenaline is rushing high and you are seeing everyone around you marking questions and it's pin drop silence, seconds will suddenly become minutes and you will find yourself rushing through the end questions in the exam and you might even miss them, which could be easier questions as well. So you need to learn to solve a question faster than 90 seconds. Okay, let me show you how students usually read and solve the question, and you might be at this stage as well. So let me put timer next to this, and I'll also magnify this so that it's easier to read. And I'll just start. An analyst has established the following probabilities from his EPS exceeding, equaling, or below. Okay, 25, 55, 20. Several days have before releasing announced a cut. Conditioning analyst revises his opinion. Company will have EPS below the estimate. Okay. Estimates likelihood company will cut the dividend. Given that EPS exceeds is as follows. Okay. Cut given exceeded. Okay. The probabilities are the analyst therefore determines that the unconditional probability for a cut in the dividend is equal to 23.75 using base formula. The company closest to okay. So I need to use the base formula and it's asking me to find P of EPS below given the cut has happened. Okay, so this is equal to into P of cut equal to P of cut by EPS below into P of EPS below. Okay, so we have this as equal to P of cut into cut by EPS is 85 multiplied by what is this? P of 20 divided by P of cut, which is 23.75. Okay, so 85 into 20 divided by 23.75. Oops, 85 into 20 divided by 75. Go to 71 point. So the answer is 72. Okay, what? And how much time did it take us? 2 minutes. So 10 seconds. So it took us close to 2 minutes. 10 seconds, you can assume it to be me entering the items wrongly in the calculator, probably. As you can see, it took me more than 90 seconds to read through it and solve through it. And I'll just explain what a normal student does and observe when I show you how you are supposed to solve the question. I do not do these mistakes. So, first thing that I was doing was verbalizing the question under my breath. I was reading it, trying to follow it with the mouse. I was reading each and every word an analyst has established, etc. I was reading through the table, I was reading through everything. And then I reached in the end, found what was required of me. And then I started filling out the values in the scratch pad, which you will be given on the exam day, and then putting it into calculator and then finding the answer. So this is the normal way that students do it. Now let me show you a much faster way of how we teach students to do it and how the Master CFA app will train you to do this every day. So I will reset the timer. I will also remove everything from Scratchpad and I'll also reset the calculator. Okay. I will first solve the question and then I will show you my thinking process behind it. So let me zoom in and let me start the timer. Base formula needed, EPS below is needed. Okay, cut EPS below is given and we need EPS by cut. So we have the table above. Okay, so EPS by cut is equal to cut by EPS into EPS into cut by this thing. Okay, so cut by EP 85 into EPS is 20 divided by 23.75. Okay, so 85 20 into 4 by 100, 80, 85 into 80 x 40 plus 40, 680, 68. It should be more than 68, 72. So I'll mark 72. Okay, so close to 60 seconds, and I know the answer is 72. Now let me walk you through the thinking process, how I have actually done this question in less than 90 seconds. And obviously, I was verbalizing things under my breath. I won't do that when I'm in exam mode. I would directly just solve it. So, this is pattern recognition training, and you need to train yourself by seeing more questions. There's no other way around it. The first mistake the students usually do, which I showed you previously, was that they start reading the question word for word from the beginning. This is not required. First thing that you need to do, let me show you by setting the timer again on this as well. First thing, you look at the options. If the options are calculation based, they will require a little bit more time than if they were a direct application based or conceptual question answer, right? After that, you need to look at the last line of the question stem. The last line will actually tell you what is required, what you need to calculate. So within 5 to 6 seconds, let me just start the timer. I just look at the options. Okay, I look at the last line. It says base formula updated probability. So now within 3 or 4 seconds, I know if base formula is my strength, I will do it right here, right now. If I feel the question is too long and requires a lot of variables, then I'll probably mark it. But I know that it's calculation based. It requires base formula. I know what is base formula. It is conditional probability. P A by B into P of B equal to P B by A into P of A. So the next thing I look, after I've seen the red part, this is the first thing that I need to see. Then I look at the values in the table of the data that I need. So I need probability of EPS below. I need probability of cut dividend. I need probability of cut dividend given that EPS below has happened. So I just look at the tables. I do not read whatever is the information given above the tables till it is necessary, because the tables are pretty self-explanatory. I don't need to go through all of the story several days before releasing its earning statement. The story is meaningless to me. It does not carry any weight. I do not need to remember it. Why am I wasting my time reading this story about analyst doing something? It does not carry over to the next question. So I just read the tables. I find out what I need. And if there is a missing piece like cut dividend, that is where I search in the remaining story. So if you look at the green box, that is the last piece of information that I need. Now, all of this can be done within 30 seconds if I am in active searching mode instead of a passive reading mode when I'm solving a question. Next thing comes up is using the scratchpad. If you remember previously, I had written the formula down, P of cut by EPS, etc., into this thing. But when I'm actually in exam mode, I do not need to write formulas on scratchpad, right? Why do I need to look at formula when I already know it? I do not need to show my working. I just need to mark it on screen. So I will directly just write the values that I need to calculate. If you remember, last time I had also taken the calculator out and put the values in, but this time I did not. And this is something that you need to learn, because a lot of times mental arithmetic will be much faster than you inputting values in the calculator, making a mistake, and then coming back to solving it again. So sometimes I've seen candidates, and even I am guilty of this, that they'll put even basic calculations of multiplication and arithmetic into calculator. Something as simple as 22 multiplied by 22 or 20 multiplied by 21, they will put it into the calculator just to be double shown. But you need to learn mental arithmetic, because not only it will help you in the exam, it will also help you on the job or while you are on the interviews. Imagine if you are very good at doing back of the envelope calculations and getting to ballpark figures faster. Even during your interviews, when you have case studies, you will be able to impress the interviewers. While you're on the job, there would be a lot of people, the chaos of information everywhere. And if you are able to cut through the insights and add a layer of basic arithmetic over it, you will be able to make decisions faster. So what I did in this was, I know I need to multiply 85 into 20 divided by 23.75. So last time I had taken this calculation into calculator. The only thing I realized is that division by 23.75 is the one which is tougher. The top part, 85 multiplied by 20, that's easy. 85 into 2 is 170 and then becomes 1700. So what I usually do is, instead of dividing by 23.75, I'll divide it by something closer, which is easier. So I'll divide it by 25. And what can I write 25 as? I can write it as 100 by 4. So similarly, if the value was closer to 22, I would have divided it by 20, and I can write 20 as 100 by 5. So these are little arithmetic tricks that you will learn or probably would have learned in high school as well. And you can relearn it here with Master CFA. So now this becomes very easy, right? It's 85 multiplied by 80, which is 68. So I know the answer needs to be more than 68 because I have divided by 25, which is a higher number, whereas I needed to divide by 23.75. So the closest value to 68 is 72. So I'll just mark this and go. Now, the important point to note here is that this question itself can be made much more tougher by just removing a lot of values. For example, the CFA Institute can remove this line: EPS are less than consensus. If you follow my mouse, EPS are less than consensus, then you would have to calculate this by subtracting 55 and 25 from 100. Similarly, this line could have been removed, 85. So the question is same, but there could be various patterns to it where I keep on removing information and adding 3 to 5 seconds into the question so that you have to solve extra. And if you are able to solve questions, see the patterns, and use mental arithmetic, there is no way you will miss out on easier questions. Imagine being able to solve this question, which is quite long in length, in less than 60 seconds. Other questions you will easily be able to kill, right? So, how do we actually train you for this? There are four things that you need to know. Number one is intent matters. As you could see, I did not leisurely solve the question while I was in exam mode. I was actively trying to be cognizant of the time and I was trying to go through it fast. So, intent matters. You need to solve each question as if it's a challenge and you will crack this challenge in less than 90 seconds. Second thing is accuracy matters. You could be fast, but you need to be accurate as well. The third is you need to do more so that your pattern recognition becomes better. For example, let's say you see 15 questions like this. Now you will immediately be able to see the red, yellow, and green when you are trying to do the next question. The more number of questions you see, the better your brain becomes trained to solve these. The last one is improve your pacing. You need to be cognizant of the time and you need to know how much time you're spending on each question. So, how do we actually help students with this? We have two modes in Master CFA app. Number one is your adaptive quizzes. So, what happens with adaptive quizzes? Whenever you have any time available with you, you can create a short quiz. It can be as small as 5 questions, it can be as big as 30 or 50 questions as well. There's no limit to it. The important point to note here is that you can practice whenever you have time. You are not constrained by finding a good environment, sitting down, having everything perfect, and then trying to do calculations. You can do 5 questions whenever you are free, while you are standing waiting for your metro, or while you are in your cab commuting, and while you are having a coffee break. Instead of looking at a television, you could just knock off 5 or 6 questions. It's more important to train your brain to recognize the patterns. So let me just create a quick quiz. I'll just mark everything as A just to show you how the basic analytics run for this. As you can see, every question is a learning opportunity. After you press submit, you can see detailed answers for each of the questions. It also shows you why option B or C were wrong and things to remember. So these are very detailed problems. You can also see tables inside of this, which provide you with the brief. Sometimes there could be some breakages, like I just showed you. The table is not scrolling, but this will get fixed in the next update. There were a lot of A answers which I got correct. Okay, so you can see this is the result that you get. So you will get the total time you spent, you will get your speed per question, which is very important. You'll get your accuracy and you'll get the percentile. You should also always mark how was your experience. I had a great experience, but there was one question which I could not scroll, so I'll make it as a 4. The team will go back and find out why your experience was lacking, and we'll find out that mistake. You can also leave it in the support as well. There is a support section here where you can contact us. You can attach the image and you can type your feedback and we'll get back to it. You can say that there was a problem in alternative investment module. And we will find it out. So this is one of the modes, which is the testing mode, and you can do this whenever you are free. The second one is the exam insights mode. Now this is much more deliberate, and this mode unlocks once you give mock exams. You can give mock exams on the Master CFA web app. Why we have done it on the web app right now is because you will be giving your final exam on a screen. So that's why we wanted you to come to your browser to do it. We will make mobile version of it as well if a lot of students demand that it's easy to do on the go. So we will bring it here as well. So I'll show you the matrix again in the web app, but you can unlock this by giving your first mock. So this is the web interface for the Master CFA, and we are continuously improving upon it. It is currently primed for mock exams. Obviously, you can do your course library here as well, but like you can see all the videos and everything is available here as well. There'll be an initial quiz and final quiz. There'll be you have your adaptive quiz here as well. So let me show you how to give a mock exam. Here on the left hand side, you will see there is a mock exam area, and you can give the mock exams for free. These two are 30-minute session, and then other mock exams are 135 minutes. We will keep on adding more mock exams. We have question bank of more than 9,000 questions. We can create more mock exams on the go as students request them. And currently, let me just show you how this 30-minute mock exam works. The time to question ratio is the same. So this is 30 minutes long. It will have 20 questions. So when you click on the start button, you'll get two exam modes. So there are two modes, the Master CFA mode and the Prometric mode. Each mock exam that we have in our app, you can give it either in the Master CFA user interface or the Prometric user interface. We have deliberately put the Prometric computer-based testing environment in this so that you can actually experience what it feels like on exam day. The Prometric environment is kind of an exact replica of how you would see it on the exam day. Only thing missing here is the onboarding part, which is not really necessary. So let me show you how it looks like in the Master CFA environment, and then I'll show you how it looks like in the Prometric environment. So these the instructions that you will get, there will be a time available and the question overview that is there. So you can start the exam, and you can see there is a timer here which shows 29 30 minutes available, and there are question overview that is here. So first thing you need to do while solving the questions, as I told you, while giving a mock exam, is while you're reading the question, within 3 to 4 seconds, you should know whether you will solve this question right now or mark it later. So, for example, I read this question, it's about statistics, it's not my strength area, so I will probably just mark it. Okay. Then I move on to the next question. Then again, we have a regarding hypothesis, and maybe I like this, but I'm not really sure about the answer. So I'll just mark it and then put it for review. So as you can see, there's a different color here. When you go through all the questions in your first go, you should just look at them and see, can you attempt them right now or should you wait for the next? Your first goal should be to run through the question paper within the first 5 minutes and see where your areas of strength and where your areas of weakness lie within the question bank. So, for example, within the first 5 minutes, I'll just go and mark the questions that I feel I know the answer. Some of the questions I might see and I would mark them instantly because I maybe know the answer. Then some of the questions I may know the answer, but I'm unsure of. So I'll just mark them and mark it for review. Let me just mark all of these questions in the first run. So I'm just randomly going through all the questions. Why do you do this? Because you need to know the lay of the land. You are an explorer right now in the exam. You need to know which are the areas of danger, which are the areas of easy pickings, so that you can rush through them faster. Why have we made this color scheme? There is a logic behind it. When you go through, you would mark the questions as those which need to be reviewed, which means you know the answer to these, but they will take time. It will require some more working. For example, calculation based questions. Then there are questions in red which you have not attempted. So this means you read those questions, but you could not get head or tail of it within the first 5 seconds. Then there are questions which you have attempted and you are marking them for review, which means that you will need to look at them again. And then there are questions which you, for example, ethics questions, which you have read and marked them instantly. The approach here is that you should read a question, and if you can solve it within the 30 seconds, if it's a simple conceptual question, for example, ethics is just application based, and if you can solve it within 30 seconds, you should just mark it. If it will take more time for you to calculate or do other things, you just mark it that I'll come back to this question. If you are reading through it and you do not even understand it, then you can skip it so that you can go through it in your last cycle. So after I am done with this, I'll go through the questions which I have marked orange, because these ones I need to read a little better, and then I need to start solving this. There is a neurological and behavioral reason behind this as well, because the questions which you have already gone through, your brain already has some familiarity with it. You might think that you haven't gotten anything in the 5 to 10 seconds that you saw the question, but subconscious minds work faster than conscious minds, and your brain is automatically working on that question behind the scenes. Sometimes what will happen is, while you're reading the 15th question, suddenly the answer for the first question will click, because there's some concept that you solved here which gives you much more confidence to solve question number 1. So your brain is already working behind the scenes when you are dialed in exam mode. So that's why you need to do multiple runs of the paper. This is unrealistic, but within the first 5 to 10 minutes, I would have gotten 1 or 2 questions of ethics directly, or 1 or 2 questions of economics, which were direct application about demand supply. It was a direct statement based question. After this 5 to 10 minutes of exercise, I would be so confident. So now I know the lay of the land. I can go through this easily. Let me just finish the exam. I will not read through all of it, but let me just quickly answer questions and finish the exam so that I can show you the analytics. There is no use not answering questions, but I'll leave a couple anyway. Okay, so I get the basic analytics here. When I press the deep dive button, it takes me to this matrix. I'll show you a better one, and I also get this table. So I get the basic details here. When I press the deep dive, I can do review here as well. I can find the answers, and these will be very detailed answers that you can see. They will have tables and data inside of them, and I can always go for the analytics review and deep dive of it. I can select the mock exam that was required, and I can also look at the overview. Now let me explain what these analytics actually mean. This 2 by 2 matrix is a very good indication of how likely you are to pass the exam. If I can view this matrix between various candidates, I can immediately tell you how likely you are to pass the CFA. So what this does is, it tells you, it plots your analysis on these 4 or 5 parameters, and you can read more about these parameters here. I will do a detailed mock exam review in another video, but this video is more about how testing helps you. It will also give you your strengths and weaknesses, which you can utilize in the next run of your mock exam. So this is how testing actually helps you improve. And to give you a quick tip, although I stated in the beginning that the question types in CFA exam consist of sentence completion with 3 unique choices and questions with unique choices, they can be further divided into these kinds of questions: calculation based questions, concept application, or analysis and comparison. Obviously, some modules may have more weight on other kinds of questions. For example, ethics won't have any calculation based questions, so it will have analysis or concept application questions in more volume, in more percentage. So let me show you an example of how these look like as well. So CFA exam, as I told you, it's more of a pattern recognition exam. If you solve a lot of questions, you are sure to pass it. So let me quickly go to, where is this? Yeah. So if you look at, let's say this is the learning module 1 on rates and return. What are the calculation based questions you can get? So these are all the formulas there are in the exam. If you can solve 2 or 3 questions from each of them, you are sure to master any calculation based question. What are the concept application questions that can come from this? And from this module, you can get something about analyzed returns, something about interest rate determinants. Yeah, primarily that, which talks about risk premiums, etc. The third one, which is more important here, is the analysis and comparison question. There could be a question about AM and GM, and there could be another question about money weighted and time weighted returns. Like this, I think, is sure to come because they need to test this. It is applicable in portfolio management as well and in level 2 as well. So they need to test this. Obviously, after this, we provide the questions as well, the highly likely concepts that you'll be tested upon, and you can look at the problem and solution for that. So just by going through this booklet that we have prepared for each and every learning module, you are sure to just pass the exam, I feel. It has all the concepts as well. It has all the formula and the question patterns that you can get. CFA exam needs to test you for specific topics that they feel will benchmark you to a level analyst and help you succeed in the level 2 exam as well, right? So the exam environment, I have simulated it for you. I'll do another video on how to analyze your insights from testing so that you can improve upon them. By the way, if your exam is coming up in August or November, we are starting a new community-based cohort where we are trying to fix all the possible student issues or errors that they face in passing the exam in less than 100 days. So sign up and let's crush this exam.